So Lynn is not going to be here, Colleen said.
No, right.
Uh, and some of this stuff that we really are going to need Lee to talk about, but if we look at the systems that we're reviewing, there's three of them tonight. One of them is straightforward. We'd actually already reviewed it. That's the man that was on Bachelor Street, 173 Bachelor Street. Alan Weiss designed it. It's the one that the sanitarian did the Title V without Lee, and it was the little lot, and the guy basically begged us to keep the point that he was using, and we said that we'd allow him to use the point, but he was going to have to ultimately replace it, and he was going to have to test the water periodically. But what that one is it's a repair, a complete system, 3-bedroom house. This house, Bill, if you're coming down North Street and hit Bachelor, take a right on Bachelor, and it's maybe the third house on the left. And the public well for that neighborhood in the back, it's kind of in back of this guy's house.
Yeah, it's all sand. It's a big sand plain there. Yeah, I know
Right,
that. Right.
right. So the review is complete. It's a cleared, grassy. It's only 0.4 acre lot, deep sands, no water table, 120 plus inches to water table. Issues very small lot. That's the shallow well. The community well is in the back. The design is for a 1,500 gallon 2-compartment tank with an outlet filter. He's actually got one, and here's the thing that I kind of negotiated with Alan. He's in trouble for width and distance. He's in trouble all over the place, and he ended up with one, and he was going to use a 4-foot by 75-foot print with 2 feet of effective depth. As I talked out through, I said, Alan, the code says 3 feet is a max. And I said, he can't put more than one trench. He doesn't have space to go wider, longer. And I said, if you're going to give up something with 10 feet of at least the water table, why don't you give more sidewall and get rid of bottom area? And if you're going to need a variance from the 2-foot maximum sidewall or the 3-foot maximum width, why don't you ask for a 2.5-foot sidewall and stay with a 3-foot trench? And I said, the sidewall is a lot more effective over the long run for life. So that's what he's got proposed. Got a vent, and 444 gallons a day is provided versus 440 required. There is no reserve area. A 5-foot water table separation. Ballast isn't required. The existing tank is going to be pump crushed and removed. Variance is requested for a 70-foot separation from the well to the SAS and the 30-inch versus the 24-inch sidewall, the SAS sidewall. The septic tank and the SAS separation to other wells in the wetlands are more than 100 and more than 200 to the community well. However, the SAS to this well is 70 feet. The issues to discuss are trench permit, the well separation and our testing requirements, septic tank and filter maintenance, whether we're going to require something in there, and whether what the well replacement schedule is. And so the first thing is, are we going to give the 2.5-foot variance, that, you know, the 2.5, 30-inch sidewall on the trench? Are we gonna, you know, we're stuck. We can't get more length. All we can do is let Alan go to the 4 feet of the width, or and say at 2 feet depth, or go to 3 foot width and 2.5 foot depth.
I'm
What is
here.
your thought? Oh, Leah's here. So this one, to remind us, is we said we were going to let the man and his family keep the shallow well. We were going to require that he do testing, and that we were going to put some drop dead date for putting in a new deep well that's 100 feet from the SAS. Now, what Alan and I talked about is, now that we've got a variance for the two variances. One is the well separation variance and the other is the sidewall variance, whether we should in fact have some kind of a maintenance schedule that he's forced to report to us on the tank pumping and also the effluent filter maintenance. So those are the things that we need to talk about on this.
Dick, as far as an effluent filter, my theory on those are, you don't maintain them unless they're causing a problem, because they provide plenty of additional filtration due to the gel layer on the filter itself. So there's no reason to clean a effluent filter unless it's backing up and causing a problem. That's my opinion.
Huh.
Now, is Al using a 2-compartment tank here?
It is, yeah.
I am here if you want me to answer.
Oh, hi,
that.
Al. How are you?
Hi.
Good.
Yeah, it's a
good.
2-compartment tank.
Yeah, again, you're doing as well as you can. You got 2-compartment tank.
Yeah.
Leave the filter in place unless it starts causing a problem, because again, it will slow down the flow and you get additional filtration due to the
I agree with you. Yeah, I
partial.
agree with you.
Yeah. Again, you know, the misnomer is you like the biomat to build up, even though it may impede flow, but it does a hell of a good job filtering out viruses and that sort of thing.
Yep.
So you're saying on this one, Bill, that we shouldn't put in a pump, I mean a tank pumping and filter maintenance requirement on
Well,
that?
no, I would do the tank pumping, but I wouldn't even opine on the effluent filter.
Yeah, what I've experienced with my own effluent filter, which I've now had for 2 or 3 years, is you're absolutely right that slime's a good thing, and only clean it when needed. And you know, that's something that easily can be, Josh Fugler would be involved here, or whoever. We just let them know on this permit, just pump it every 2 to 3 years and clean filter as needed. Now, 2 other issues there. One is the well that Dick's already mentioned. I know you already told the owner you're willing to wait on well replacement, and that's what the owner told me as well. And then the other issue with the stone depth, Dick, I did the math, and frankly, I'm not even sure that's a variant situation, because there's 24 inches complies with Title V rules for 330 flow. And the extra 6 inches just gets me in the ballpark for your extra 110 gallons. So I'm not sure that's a variance.
The variance is that Title V says that the maximum sidewall you can have is 2 feet on the trench.
No, I think what it says is the maximum amount you can count is 2 feet. I think you can have more stone.
Oh.
So I think we're compliant with Title V.
Okay.
So
you can put it there, but you can't. So in our case, you end up that the calculation, the Granby calculation says that you're allowed to do that. But since the Title V says you can't do it, but you don't need it either. So
exactly.
Okay.
So all that's left here, I think, if I hear you correctly, is just deciding what well interval, what water test interval you're looking for.
Well, how often, actually, there's two things. What is the testing interval, and what is the end date of using that well? Lee
Yeah,
and
I'll let
Bill,
you guys decide, and you can put it as a contingency with the permit, but that's not my call to make, I guess.
I'll offer, and we can talk from it. I'll offer that we require him to test every year, and that at the end of 5 years, he has to replace the well. Now, Bill and Lee, you guys can do anything you want with that.
Well, my feeling is if he's gonna have a problem, it's gonna be upfront because the biomat has yet to be matured. So I would say let's test it 6 months, then let's test it a year, and then let's test every year thereafter. But if he passes the 6 month, Dick, with the biomat not having matured, he's going to be golden because he's just going to get better over time.
Well, then I'll offer that maybe you don't have to put as long as we don't let them do any work on repairing the well, if we're doing that kind of testing, then you let the well die at its end when it dies
Yeah,
and it gets replaced, and that doing the testing that you suggested, Bill, does the protection and let them keep it until it dies.
yeah. Again, if he's going to have a problem, it's going to happen real quick. Over
Lee,
time,
are you there?
Huh?
I'm just trying to see if Lee is there and talking. I haven't heard from him.
No, I'm running way late tonight, but I just rolled in.
Okay. Yeah, I propose, Bill, that we do that. We give the variance for the 70 feet to allow them to keep going with the shallow well, and that we require a 6 month test and then a yearly test after that until the well is replaced with a deep well.
That's fair.
Lee, can you support that?
It seems like a reasonable path to take in this particular situation.
I don't know whether it's
Yeah,
you, Lee,
with
or
the
my.
testing.
Okay, now I can hear.
Am I coming in better now?
Now you are.
Yeah, loud and clear now.
Okay. Yep, all right. Yeah, I think between the testing parameters set up and as Bill pointed out, if we clear the 6-9 month window, it should be in for the long run.
Colleen, we're going to approve the design as Alan has proposed with the 1 3-foot trench, 75 feet long, 2.5 feet effective sidewall. We're going to grant the 70-foot well separation variance to the SAS, and we're going to require water testing from the well 6 months after the occupancy of the house, and then every year after that, until the well is replaced with a deep well.
Okay.
That's what the board just said. The next one that I have
Thank
is,
you.
okay, Alan, have a good night.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Al. Oh, by the way, Colleen, Conservation approved Allen's Bachelor Street one, the one on the corner of Bachelor and North
Okay.
Street. Yeah,
Mhm.
that one's all good through Conservation. Thank you, Al.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
The next one is Bob Sheehan, and this is the ADU at 125 Maximilian Drive. We've got a bunch of things that we'll have to talk about at the end of this one. This is a complete system for the one-bedroom ADU. The fee is paid and the review is complete. This is a mainly cleared, grassy, 1.5 acre lot, deep sand, 117-inch plus water table, and there are wetlands here to the northwest. The issues are the wetlands, the existing system, plus the new and existing buildings. The proposal that we have is for, now the existing system is a 1,500 gallon 2-compartment tank with no outlet filter, and I think there's 3 trenches, but it's a Title V system, one of Alan Katawa's systems. So, but this new one is for a 1,500 gallon 2-compartment tank without an outlet filter. And although actually, I think Bob, when I talked to Bob, I think Bob ended up putting an outlet filter on it. And he's got
No, I'm
one.
sorry, Dick, I did not.
Okay, so then we'll get back to this. And he's putting in a single trench, which is identical to the other trenches that are there. There's a 50-footer, 3 feet wide with 1.5 feet effective sidewall depth. And it's added to the existing Title V 3-bedroom SAS using the existing D-box. So he's keeping the same D-box and putting an extra pipe coming out of the D-box and a common entrance to the D-box. So he's got laterals, the existing tank and the new tank come into a lateral connection and go into the D-box. 222 gallons a day are provided versus 220 gallons are required. So it's the house is designed for 3 bedrooms plus 1, and this one is 1 bedroom plus 1. So they both comply with our regulations. There is a reserve area provided for this. So there's a reserve for the existing system as well as this new one. It's adjacent to it. Still is required. 5-foot water table separation is maintained. Ballast is not required. Siltation barrier is utilized. The septic tank and SAS separation to wells and wetlands is more than 100 feet. The items to discuss here are not all with this one, but they're for us because I couldn't review this properly. The first is our normal trench permit. The second is the fill requirements. The third is Bob added a tie dimension from the east end of the trench to the street. The first one that we got to talk about is how we're going to deal with the deed restriction on the single ownership, which we've already approved the wording of that at our last meeting. The next is a question I have is I don't think we talked about the need to inspect the existing septic system, the existing septic tank and SAS on any of these systems. We've said we'd make the modifications to allow the changes in the SAS. I don't think we talked about whether anybody's going to even look to see if the existing system was working. And I think that my feeling when I would review this with anybody now would be before you design this system, that someone's got to go in and pump the existing tank out and look at the D-box and see if the tank it's anything but pristine and the D-box is anything but pristine, and has it been flooded? Is it working? So that we didn't say, and as much as I wanted to tell Bob that, I wanted the board to help me with that. The next question, which Bob does have, is are we requiring a reserve area for the original, on all of these Title V systems? The original system had a reserve area. Do we require a reserve area for this one? And do we allow them to move into the reserve areas with the ADU? My feeling would be that they need to be done in fact, I don't think we talked about this, whether these should be done as a new system or repair. My feeling is a new system, and it should fall under our new regulations, new building regulations, and they need a reserve area. The next one is, do we say that all the buildings have to meet Granby's SAS requirements, so the bedrooms plus 110 for each one of them individually? I think they do, but again, we haven't talked about that. The next is, do we want to say that we want 2-compartment tanks for the minimum? Do we say we want 2-compartment tanks for the new one? Or do we in fact say, if there's no 2-compartment tank for the old one, we want that switched out? This particular building, in both cases, with the meeting the Granby SAS capacity requirements, they do it. Both systems meet it, and this one has 2-compartment tanks. The next is, I'd propose that we shouldn't be adding, hopefully on Title V systems. There aren't any variances on Title V systems, but they could be, that we shouldn't be allowing variances if the system, if the lot wasn't good enough to handle a Title V system as required. We shouldn't be increasing its use, that we shouldn't have variance. The next is what is it appeared to me we talked about water testing, but and this one is set. There was a water test, but it seems to me before you start adding another dwelling unit, somebody ought to be testing the wells to see if the existing well is giving good water. And we already said that we were going to require yearly water testing for all rental units. So those are my list of things to be going over, and I can't, without our coming to some agreement on it, I can't do the reviews on it. I can't close on it.
Okay.
I can do them. I can go back through on each one of them and say, do we want to require it or do we not? And luckily on this design, I think they essentially already comply with all of my questions. The first one is do we want, before we increase put another an ADU onto lots, do we want to have the existing systems inspected to make sure it's functioning?
Well, that makes sense. That makes good sense, Dick.
I think so too. I think before you start this thing, that you don't go and say, if you have a system that's failing, you don't go and put another one in.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that. So we're gonna have to tell Bob that he's gonna have to look at that one. The next one, do we want to require outlet filters on each of the tanks?
Well, what's the negatives? I know what the positives are. What's the negative argument?
May I
The
speak?
only-
Yeah, Bobby might have an argument why he does not want to do it. Bob, why should we not require that?
I just see it as a burden to the property owner in that they have to clean the filter. And we've seen in the past that plug filters will then back up into the house, creating a much larger health hazard. Bill, in listening to how you spoke earlier, this system, given its age, already has a biomat, except for the new proposed trench, of course. I just don't like filters. You tell the septic tank pumper, I've got a filter in my tank, and you have to clean that. They're probably not going to do it, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Well,
After
you said,
they got
Bob,
another
that it's
cover.
Just for the
Stop.
record, I've had one at my house for 20 years and I've never cleaned it and it works fine. So whatever.
The
Okay,
data
I-
on this
I-
that's published says that the filter does a lot for the life of the system. And it turns
And is
out
that a
that
po-
it's interesting that Bob is the one that's the first that's talking to this, but Bob ends up being, I think of the engineers we're dealing with, Bob, you're the only one that's not using them now.
Oh, well.
So, my question is and I understand the perspective of most people don't want to get their hands dirty, maintaining the filter. So is the board allowed to mandate, maintenance of the system through pumping and therefore, cleaning of the filter on a 36-month increment or sooner as the need arises?
Well, as long as you're talking that way, Lee, are we in a spot that we should be saying, now that you're doing rental kind of units, should we be mandating as part of this a 3-year pumping cycle? Maybe you do that and then the filter gets cleaned at that point.
Well, that's what I was, throwing out there for some consideration. That way it helps the system, I believe, and it eliminates the homeowner from either not knowing what to do or ignoring it or being afraid of it or whatever. And it would just help, I think, the longevity of the system in general with scheduled professional maintenance on these systems, especially when you're adding another dwelling unit to it.
If you're gonna do that, then it's not just an ADU. This is like the water testing. We should, on these multiplexes that we have, we should be requiring the same thing, I guess, that people have to provide us with the 3-year pumping.
Yeah, I mean, I just threw it out there for a discussion point. I'm sure there's reasons that we should, or maybe there's reasons that we shouldn't do it. I'm just thinking of, Bob's point is valid that a lot of people who have a filter in their possession either don't know it or don't want to acknowledge it until something goes wrong.
But as you point out, Lee, if you then say, okay, you've got a rental unit now, you're gonna be in the business, you're gonna have to maintain it, you have to pump it, and then the guy deals with the filter at the same time, and it's all done. So we we get our filter
That
and
was-
we get the maintenance, and then Bob's not worried about it for everybody's system. It's just the rental unit.
Well, that's it. The rental unit people are not going to be so careful with their waste stream, obviously.
Right.
And that's just protection for the leach field. If it does plug, that's a good thing, because you got to see why it plugged. You see, oh, you're throwing lipstick cases or whatever down
No.
the drain. So it's a good protective measure.
Okay. So it sounds like what we're saying is we're going to require the filter, and we're going to require they furnish us with 3-year pumping record. The next one is on these systems. Are we looking? So I'll go 2 things with it. Do we need, when someone says we're going to come in and put an ADU, are we going to look at this as a new system? And that we say you have to have a reserve area with it, and you can't use up the reserve area of your other system with it. What are we saying? Are we just saying this was a repair, or is it new?
So this is an ADU on an existing property with an existing leach field, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably best if they allocate some area for a future repair down the road. Because if they don't, and they start adding garages and gazebos and all kind of amenities to the property, there's not going to be much property left to do a repair if they really need it. So allocating it via a mandated reserve area, again, it's a very conservative approach, but it makes good sense.
But it is new. It's not a repair.
I hear you.
So that falls under our regulation.
Yeah.
But that's going to be March and April and out of season perk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are we, let's see. Are we going to require 2-compartment tanks? Now, the first one, are we going to require a 2-compartment tank on the new one? My feeling is you would do that. It's a better option.
Is that ever an option?
Well, the nice thing about the 2-compartment, Dick, is if you're concerned about plugging the filter, the second compartment generally has very
Never
few
seems
solids
to
in it. It actually protects the filter. The ones I've run into over the years, that when you have filter plugging problems, it's generally with a single compartment tank. But so by putting in the second compartment, you're providing a little protection to the filter right off the bat.
And almost everybody is putting in 2-compartment
Yeah.
tanks.
Yeah.
It turns out that other than for the single family or 2-family, the state requires it anyways.
Yeah.
Now that my next question is, do you, on the first system, do you require the tank to be pulled if it's a single compartment? If it's, my general feeling would be that that's a lot of grief to do, that you just
No.
catch that when it needs to be
does.
repaired, or if it's a system that the tank isn't pristine, you say, okay, pull the tank and put the 2-compartment in and be done with it. But what are you guys thinking?
If the tank has good integrity and it's operating properly, there's no reason to decommission a new tank if it's operational.
Is that what you think, Julie?
Yeah, to force a new tank might be a bit much if, again, as Bill pointed out, if the integrity is still there. However, with a, with a decent, if Title V, if you will, inspection on the current system, it'll tell everybody, what have to work with.
Yeah.
But, I think the point is valid. There's no reason to yank the tank, just yet if it passes all of the other requirements as far as functionality and integrity goes.
Yeah, my feeling would be, and it'd be you that sees it, Lee, that when you get in and start saying, well, there's corrosion around the holes, or we could patch it, that you say, no, that we're not gonna do that. Run a one compartment tank. We're gonna just take it out. We're not gonna try to fix up a tank that's not a really great tank. Let's change it and get rid of it, and it goes to two compartments.
Yep.
So then in terms of variance, we could get into a spot that, let's say you've got a house that we've really bent, and someone has said, I really want it to be within 3 feet of the water, or I didn't have enough room to the wetland when I repaired the system on my 70-year-old house, and I'm 20 feet from the wetland, so the board granted a variance. Now they come back and I say, okay, I want to do the same variance for this new system. I guess as soon as you say this is a new construction, I guess that problem all completely goes away, because they can't have the variances on the new construction.
You answered your own question, Dick.
Yeah. It took care of it. Okay, then we're done. We're done that with Bob. The question is, as I look at this, the only thing that hasn't been done with Bob is that we'd have the fill permit requirement, the fill requirement, the trench permit and Bob said he already added the dimensions from the street to the trench. We have the deed restriction. My suggestion to move it forward is we approve the design, but tell them that they're not going to be able to get a COC until the deed restriction is on file and shown to be filed. And we have to decide, are we going to approve his change? What are our thoughts, Bill and Lee? I think he's okay. He's done all the things that we've said we're going to deal with. And we're going to end up saying on everybody, we should probably note that there's going to be a yearly water testing requirement. But that doesn't have to be part of this. That's going to be part of our rental unit requirements. It's not separate to ADU.
Yeah, Dick, did Bob, how is he dealing with a single well feeding both buildings? How's he doing that?
Bob, you just have to show a pipe, right?
Yep, and I talked to Alan Katowitz about that, who's going to be building this project, and he said he'll have his plumber take care of that. Because in the past, in listening to this stuff in the past, I know that and typically it's you, Bill, that has some concerns about it. So yeah, I have addressed it with Alan.
Yeah, Dick, I'm guessing they'll put some sort of check valves in so one system can't feed the other. I'm guessing that's what the plumber will require. You might want to talk to Marion about that.
Is that directed to me or to who?
No, to Dick. Dick, should we talk to Fred Marion about this?
Yeah, but I would say that that's in a plumbing code on how he does it. It's not a Board of Health septic requirement, but, because I think the next one comes out, what is the responsibility? And I guess we're gonna have to talk about it, not necessarily about ADUs, but on every rental unit. If you've got a well, do you have a requirement to provide water for people to drink? If all you've got to do is put a generator to operate a well, is that in fact, should that be a requirement for rental units?
Good question, yeah.
And I don't see that as an ADU problem. I see this as a rental unit problem. So what are we going to do with this one? I've got Keith anxiously sitting here, and we're running very late. We've got the appointment. So are we going to approve this design?
I'd say so. On the septic end, yes, we'll approve the septic system.
Are you okay with that too, Lee?
Absolutely.
Okay, I am too. So that's done.
I know you're in a rush. One quick question. You're requiring a filter in the ADU outlet end of the septic tank? Is that correct?
We're requiring a filter in the new septic tank and the old septic tank.
For both tanks, okay.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you for your,
Yeah, good clarification point, Bob. Thank you.
okay, thank you for your time all. Have a good
Okay,
evening.
thank you.
The next
bye-bye.
one we have is Pete, who's back with us after a little while where he has not been with us. And Lot A, Carver Street, it's well up onto Carver Street. It's the old, really old Burnack lot. And then I think Overly is or was the owner. This has been a lot that's been sitting for a long time on the right side, up near Munting Ridge is near there on the opposite side.
It's on the Sportsman's Club side, on the south side? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as you go up the road, it's kind of the first place that you come out of the tree. And
Oh, okay.
it's new construction, 3-bedroom house, complete system, fees paid, review is complete. I call it mostly cleared. It's rusty. It's been cleared. It's been grown in, but it's kind of cleared and grassy and brushy. It's 0.92 acre lot. And there's a kind of a center mound with sloping downwards in all directions from that mound, gentle slope. It's a soft glacial till with 48-inch water table. There are wetlands in the woods to the east and south. The issue is the water table, the wetlands, and we've got out of date perks. The perks were done in 2010 and then 2018 with no deep holes done after the 2018 perk. The design is a new 1,500 gallon. This is a single compartment tank without an outlet filter. There's 3 3-foot by 50-foot by 1.5 foot effective sidewall trenches. They're terraced. They're non-vented. 477 gallons a day are provided versus 440 required. The reserve areas between and adjacent to the trenches, fill is required. 4-foot ground water separation is provided. Ballast is not required for the septic tank. The septic tank and the SAS separation to the wells and wetlands are all more than 100 feet. To discuss here, and there are things that Keith is putting on the drawings that rather than refill everything out and get them to this meeting, that there's a trench permit requirement, fill permit requirement. We're going to end up, because of the 2018 PERC going to 2022 without the deep hole being done to extend it for the 8 years. It puts us into an out of season approval process. Going to add onto the drawing that Granby Board of Health needs to also look at the subgrade strip. That also Keith's going to add that we require a trench permit. Going to put either ties to the system component or a note on the drawing saying that the locations can be scaled. The drawings are really good, and if he chooses to do it with scaling, it looks like it would be absolutely acceptable. There are a couple notes that the design is fine, but the notes weren't. One of them is a septic tank to well separation note that says it's 50 feet versus Granby's 100 feet, even though the system is more than 100 feet. And then there's a septic system to wetland separation note that's called out as 50 versus Granby's 100. The system, in fact, is well beyond the 100. It's just a note that makes it.
Dick, I have a question. With respect to heading up Carver, Munsing Ridge is on the left. Talk me into this property.
Pardon?
Talk me into this property. I got Google Earth up. I want to see where it is.
Okay, if you go beyond Munson Ridge
Yeah,
to the east,
yeah.
someplace, maybe Keith can help me, but I think if you go not very far,
There's 2 open lots.
there should be there are a couple lots that are actually built on in that area now.
Mhm.
And this one may be this would be to the west of the first house that you come to in the clearing, I think.
I can share my screen and show the location.
You may or may not be able to.
Yeah, actually, let me do this. This
That's
will
all
be
right.
easier. This is my Google Earth. Talk me in right there, Keith, if you would.
Okay, so Munson Ridge is on the left,
Yes.
and as you proceed along, well, you have a house clearing almost opposite Munson Ridge.
Yes. Yes.
And then the tree line, and then the next opening, the opening is our parcel.
Oh, okay. It's the one with the hand. And it says West 72, 45, 72.
Well, I can't see that on your screen, but
Okay. All
but
right.
yeah, that's
All right.
the first rectangular clearing.
Oh, okay. Only thing on the wetlands end of it is Turkey Hill Brook, I believe, is perennial in that area. So you need a 200-foot offset, or you're gonna have to do some fancy filing. So I trust
Right,
you 200 feet off the Turkey Hill Brook.
We're well off that, yes.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
then the last correction I have for that one is that there's a model elevation note on the drawing that says it looks like a typo to me. It says it's 459.50 and it's actually 559.50. I think it's just the drawing, when you look at the drawings and everything, all the 559 is what is shown. So I think it's just a typo.
Yeah, it's just a typo.
Yeah. So those are the correction, and I explained to Keith that we, on our out of season, perk process is that we would approve the design. The design would be subject to doing the water table determination. In this case, it's going to have to be the deep holes as well as the water table determination during March and April. But that we would approve this, and it would go to the point that they could get the building permit, they could do all the building of the house. It's just that they could not build the septic system until the March or April work is done, and that the Keith and the owner would have to come before the board like we are right now and say, okay, we understand if the water table is higher than we called, the system will end up having to go up in the air, and they can do that. And the owner says, I understand that if I want to go further and actually start the building, I do so on my own risk and understand it. And that would be that process. But we can approve this design subject to doing the water table during March and April.
And I've had confirmation from the applicant, Nico, that he will gladly take on that responsibility to adjust the system if the groundwater is determined to be higher.
Keith,
So how are we with this?
I was going to ask Keith, are you going to take any more trees down, Keith? Or are you going to keep the lot as is?
So the clearing of the lot originally was basically the tree line edge. And
Right.
I don't think that there's any need for doing any additional tree clearing.
Okay. That makes it cleaner on the wetland end.
Mhm.
I'm good with the concept, Dick, on this.
Lee, how are you with this?
Just two quick questions, Keith. The print notes that there's an existing well, so I'm figuring the last owner or whoever put that well in there, which is fine. Is there any data on the water quality of that well going forward?
Not that I have known. We can ask Nico to provide that.
Okay. And my other and last question is, my understanding is that a 2-compartment tank is a much better investment for the homeowner and the life of the system going forward. Is there a reason that we're doing a 1-compartment tank on this, or I just don't get it. I don't see many singles on new construction going in.
So it's our standard practice to show a fully compliant septic system design. And we allow the applicant or the client who's constructing the system to decide if he wants to invest in making improvements, such as putting in a second, a 2-chamber tank or a 2-chamber tank with filters. We rather not, tie them to the top of the line system.
Even though,
Is this a spec house?
No,
So this person will be living in the house?
Nico is going to live in the house, as far as I understand. He's muted at the moment. We could have.
How you doing? Sorry, I'm here.
can you, Keith, tell your client that the Board of Health strongly recommends the 2-compartment tank and an outlet filter?
Yeah, Nico hears you right now.
Here. Hi, Nico.
How you doing? Sorry, I have been
Yeah.
listening and I've just been quiet on the sides.
No worries.
Okay. So Nico, we're just talking that we're the data that we have around that available to us says that a 2-compartment tank with an outlet filter is should really increase the life of your septic system. And in terms of a 2-compartment tank, the state feels so strongly about it that other than for a single-family house or a 2-family house, you have to have a 2-compartment tank. So that's how strongly they feel about its advantages. And we do know that the outlet filter, which is, I don't know, Bill, what's $100 or thereabouts, that I just put in for my own house a replacement tank, and my tank is a 2-compartment tank with an outlet filter. Bill has got the outlet filter. I'm not sure the 2-compartment tanks were available when you put yours in, Bill, but
No.
but for sure we would all be saying do a 2-compartment tank and an outlet filter. But Keith is absolutely right. It's something that the board doesn't have for a rule, and it is not a state rule. So Keith is 100% saying if he is looking at the initial cost for his client, what we're asking is more expensive. In terms of recommendation, the Board of Health is saying, we don't have a rule right now that can make you do this, but this would be, in our view, the cheapest investment you can make, that someday you will come back or someone's going to come back and say, thank you very much for spending this couple $100 now. Because when you do it over again, it's going to cost a lot of money. So that's our 2 cents.
Yep, not that more.
And as you may have heard or not, if you were going to be putting in a new dwelling unit that the state allows the second dwelling unit to go onto lots now, then the board is going to make you do that. So that's our 2 cents.
Okay.
The side and
Yeah, I think I'd
Oh.
like to stick with the single compartment the way it's drawn up now. That way we can get the approval to move forward.
it's going to move forward anyway.
Yeah,
So as Keith is going to make the changes that Keith and I talked about, we just made it so that he wouldn't have to go scrambling to get new drawings to everybody and maybe not make the meeting to just look at it as conditions of approval right now to make those little changes. So they're not substantial changes. They're just
We can do that right now.
paperwork. Yeah. So, okay, then Lee, are you on board too?
Yep.
Okay. So Colleen's got the paperwork, the out of season first paperwork for you to get Nico that says if you move forward with the building inspector and start with this building, you take the responsibility for whatever changes that would occur if the water table is different.
Okay. Perfect.
And
I can
Keith-
pick that up tomorrow with her.
Colleen?
Yep, that's fine, sure.
Perfect. I'll be there.
Okay, so we're set with you guys.
Sounds good.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
very good. Thanks for your night.
Okay, good night.
Have a
You
good
as well.
night.
Before we forget, are we going to approve the minutes for the last meeting? I did make some changes that I sent out.
I think they're fine, Dick.
Okay, Lee, are you set?
I am. Yep.
And I am too, Colleen, so they're approved.
Okay,
The next thing we have is Connor, now what are we running? We're late.
Mhm.
Connor Flurry, new installer's license.
They're right here.
Connor, we, new applicants, we meet with and talk to and ask them questions, but what kind of equipment do you have?
I have a mini excavator, a skid steer, and then a 26,000 pound excavator.
Okay, how long have you been installing systems?
This is my 7th year, so 6 full years, almost 8 at this point.
Okay, do you have licenses in any other town?
Yes, I have licenses pretty much in every town near me, and I also have my state of Connecticut license as well.
Oh, when you do the installations, are you basically the crew chief? Are you the one that's responsible for the installation?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Do you have people working for you?
I did, but not right now. Probably next year.
Okay. How many systems would you say you've installed?
Total, God, probably upwards of 30, probably 35.
Okay. What do you use to shoot grades?
I use just a standard transit.
Okay. A question that we ask and the next guy that's gonna I can see is listening to this is gonna already know the answer after you give it. But when you look at a drawing,
Yep.
and you get on site and you start digging, and you find out that what's in the ground isn't what's on the drawing, what do you do?
Notify the town and engineer.
That's the right answer. That is really the right answer. And you stop. Because
Right.
you're the one with the license to put it in.
Correct. Yep.
And if it heads south, it's you. Even
Right.
though the engineer drew it and we approved it, you're the one that's touching the ground. And,
Right.
and do you have any particular job that you're working? Now you're looking for a license for this year, for
Yes, sir.
2024 or 2025?
24, and then I'll probably get my 25 before the 24 expires.
Do you have any particular job that you're going to be doing?
I don't have anything open right now, septic wise.
Okay.
I close everything up for the year. The one in Granby that I'm trying to get approved for now is probably my next one, hopefully.
Okay. So make sure that if you're in there, you just need to know that you are going to need for any system in Granby, you'll need a trench permit to put it in. You get the trench permit, it's free, and Colleen is the one that issues it. And if it requires fill, which it probably will in Granby, then you will have to get the town to do an inspection of the strip as well as your engineer.
What was that? The what?
If you end up needing fill, and
Yeah.
there's going to be a strip to strip the soils out,
Yeah.
along with your engineer looking in that hole, the town of Granby needs to look in that hole too before you
Okay.
start putting that fill in.
Yeah, that's pretty standard everywhere. Bottom pit inspection.
Yeah. Lee and Bill, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm good. Everything seems to be right where it should be.
Okay. Bill?
It's fine. He's fine.
Okay, you're all set.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night.
All right. So, does the license get in the mail, or how does that work?
I can
Colleen,
mail
I'll
it
let-
to you or I can send it via email. So,
Okay.
okay,
All right. I'll shoot you an email probably tomorrow morning then.
okay.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
Take care.
have a good night.
You too.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
David,
Thank you.
Hi, good
how,
evening.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So you know what this drill is going to be like.
Yes, I spoke to you folks earlier on this season
Okay.
regarding a Title V inspection,
Okay. Oh, yes, you did.
if you remember that.
I do. In fact, your system just came up.
I was wondering if that was the one.
That's the one.
Interesting.
That's the one. And so in this case, we'll ask the same thing.
Okay.
How many systems have you installed?
Oh, between 500 and 1,000.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And are you, when you say you install them, are you the guy that, like the crew chief, or the guy that's responsible for actually putting them in?
I am. I'm third generation of this company. So yes.
So do you have people working for you?
Presently, I have a couple of people working for me. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And do you do the shooting of the grades and checking of the work that's been
Yes.
done?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What kind of equipment do you have?
At this point, I have just about everything that's ever been made. You know,
Okay.
for the job that I have coming up on South Street, 51 South Street, I'm just anticipating using a small excavator in a Bobcat.
Okay. Bill, is that the job that's right next to you?
Yes. Yeah, actually, there's two reasons I'm going to recuse myself on this. One is it's my neighbor, but number two, Dave, I think I've designed several systems your dad put in the Southwick area probably 20, 25 years ago.
Okay.
So I have worked with you guys before.
Did you know my grandfather as well?
I don't recall, but I have worked with Berry Construction before in the
Okay.
Southwick Agawam area. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So obviously, Dave, if you put that many systems in, you've got some licenses someplace else.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Where are the ones that you have active right now?
What do we have? I have the Berkshire license that covers all the those hill towns up there, Otis and
Okay.
whatnot. Southwick, Agawam, Granville, Westfield, all the
Okay.
surrounding towns where we live.
What do you use to shoot grades?
Just a standard laser.
Okay. Okay. So that question, you just heard me ask the question, and everybody that goes through here gets asked the same question.
Yeah.
And so you know what the answer is already. You know, when the
Yes.
drawing isn't what's in the ground, what do you do?
Yes, we make the appropriate calls to the health department and to the engineer that designed the system.
Yeah. And the reason that we say to people, if something turns south, which it does sometimes, hopefully we catch it so it doesn't. You don't want us to be called for the person that's suing you to be their witness. You want us on your table to say, we all worked together, we all did this to do it right. We saw the problem, we got the engineer involved, we know what the code is, the Board of Health's involved. We all worked this through to make it work right, according to what it takes to work right and to meet the code. So that's working as a team is the way we keep everybody out of trouble. We have the system designed right, installed right, and worked right. And it makes it so you don't have to go to court, you don't have to replace things or do things over. We do it right the first time and work together to make sure that happens.
Yes.
So Lee, Bill's so he's not he's recusing himself. So how are
Yeah.
you thinking, Lee?
No, I think a lot of background experience, a lot of toys. Should be a no-brainer here. I think we're going to be having a good relationship going forward.
Yeah, I think so. You'll be dealing primarily with Lee and Bill if he's nosy, because he'll be nosy anyways. He'll be looking out his window whether he comes out.
Okay.
Very good, Dave.
So-
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it very much.
Okay, have a good night.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Okay. So if we go keep moving through the money turnover, we have got $970 for this period. Of that is 900 is the Board of Health permit, $20 is Board of Health licenses, $50 is for fees, and that's it totaling the $970. Are we okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Colleen, I am too, so that's
Okay.
approved.
Mm-hmm.
The next one we have is Lynn's bill and to be paid, and it ends up that it's a combination of inspections that are some are $70, which is what her billing rate is according to what Chris Martin had told us. But on some of them, like the cruising cafe, is $100, and those are the $100 an hour for doing that, plus the time for the preparation and the filling out of the forms, so that they'd come out $100. So she altogether there are, let's see, I don't know that she has mileage in here. Let me.
No, she doesn't usually put mileage in.
It looks like not mileages.
No.
So
She-
they've got
she
1,
lives
2, 3,
close
4,
by.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 inspections, and it's for the period. The date is, she's got the dates, they go from 7/10 through 11/9. So they're within the right period, and her total is $1,425. Are we okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
I am too, Colleen,
Okay.
so that's approved. The next one that I have, it's actually there's 17 inspections. I didn't go far enough. The next one is for purchase request from Colleen. They're for printer ink, printer toner, tri-pack actually. They're all from Quill. $180.99. Paper towels, $26.99. A 2025 weekly planner, $10.79. Paper clips, $13.59. And Avery business card, $25.99, totaling $258.35. Are we okay with that?
Colleen, on the business cards, are those our business cards?
Yeah, it's the stock that I just print. I print them out.
Oh, I see. So you print them out as needed then. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes, I have
good
them on the
deal.
counter.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Mhm.
So are we okay with that?
Yeah,
I am
Yeah.
too, Lee is too, so that's approved.
Okay.
We've got we've already done the next one. I've got Connor Fleury for a installer's license, and we just approved that. I've got
Yeah.
David Berry, Lee, and I also for installer's permit. Like we approved that.
Mhm.
The next one is John Dow as JYD Excavation. It's a renewal. He's from Ludlow for an installer's permit. Colleen, that's also for this year, not for next year, huh?
Yes, I can check. I think I can check with him on that, but I believe so. I think I try to ask them when it's that close to the end of the year. So I believe,
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
other two were the end of the year also. So
yeah, I think his was too.
are we okay with that? This is a renewal.
yeah, of course. That's fine.
Lee, are you
Yeah.
set? I am too,
Oh,
Colleen,
yes.
so that's approved.
Okay.
The next one is an application for this is at 133 Aldrich Street. This is for a D-box and a tank. And it's from Alan White. I think it's in sand. It's a 2-compartment tank and a D box. That's the application. Right after it is it's already been put in. Are we okay with the application?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes, it was,
That's fine.
it was the result of
Okay,
a Title V, and it's
Yeah.
been replaced.
And I'm okay with it too, Colleen. And then the next one is right after it. It's the replacement of it. So are we set with that, Lee?
EOC.
Yeah, Josh Fugler, took care of that immediately.
Okay. The next one is a certificate of compliance for the Barrack residence at 15 Deerbrook. This is also an Alan Weiss. He did it, submitted an as-built. It looks like it is a septic tank and D-box as well. I'm just trying to see it. It looks a 2-compartment tank and an outlet filter is on it. Are we set with that, Lee?
Yes, we are, thank you.
Bill, are you okay with that?
Oh, yeah, yes.
I am too, Colleen, so that's approved.
Okay. Next
one is certificate of compliance for Lynn Mercier at 398 Bachelor Street. This one is Neil Jackson signed off on it, installer Jim Cole. It's got an as-built with horizontal and vertical dimensions. Looks like a pump system, fill and pump. Are we all set with that, Lee?
Yes, absolutely.
Bill, are you set with this?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I am too, Colleen, so that's approved.
Okay.
The next one is, this one is for Ashley Bowman, those last 6 on Bachelor Street. And it's signed off by Ed Berry, who sent a note saying he was going to give an as-built, and there is no as-built with it. I don't see that we can approve it.
He sent, oh yeah, I think he sent a bunch of pictures, didn't he? But
There are pictures,
but he didn't send the as-built. No, you're
he
right.
said he was going to do the as-built.
Yeah, no.
Do you guys think we should approve this without the as-built?
Well, how did he put in writing that he's gonna provide an as-built?
I saw it on an email, I think.
Yeah, okay, well, let's wait for the as-built to come through.
So we're not going to approve this, Colin. You can let them know that it wasn't. I don't think it affects anything. I don't think they're ready to build the house anyway.
No,
Mm.
this was the system that, was put in, due to the multiple extensions that they got, and it had to be done by that Sunday or Monday. That's
Right.
what this was all about.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it doesn't affect. But your point is valid that the as-built gotta show up.
Was it a good system, Lee?
Yeah, he, actually did a very good job.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's Tom Halleck, Dick. He's the head of the Bureau of Public Works in Ludlow. He's done waterworks projects his whole life.
Okay. So he knows what he's doing.
Very capable. He's extremely capable. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So then next thing that we have is 133 Aldrich Street, Title 5. Is Alan Weiss has passed it. That's what we did with it must have been either it was conditional or I guess it wasn't. It passed because we got the system, got the 2 components replaced.
Yes.
So we're okay with that way?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Bill, are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yes. Everything's good.
I got 2 things that, well, I have 3. I guess 2 of them are the same, but one of them is I haven't heard anything back from Dollar General. from Tyler Avery, who said that we were gonna hear back with his proposal of the modifications he wanted to do. Colleen, my thought is maybe it's worthwhile giving Tyler a call and say, when are we gonna be hearing from you?
Okay,
Because his plan was to get it done before it got cold, to get that first part done.
okay,
And the next one is Ken Lane, and I have two issues with it. Actually three issues. The first issue was good news and bad news. The good news was the town did in fact put the pipeline going from 12 Ken Lane to the manhole. And actually hooked it up to the house. So
Oh,
that line that's on the grass is laying there but not being used and disconnected. And I'll get back to them. The second is that I think it's 10 Ken Lane is also hooked up to the line going to the catch basin. So that's the good news. The not so good news is what was supposed to be 2 lines that were put in there, 2 1.25 lines while they were in there, ended up only 1 going in. So that's not so funny. And they've got both homes going into the same line. Hopefully it works. Both of the pump systems have check valves. Hopefully it works, but it's not the way it was supposed to be done. And it happened. Dave called me up. DeRosa called me up and apologized. He said he gave it to one of his guys to do. He was on another project, and it was a pretty straightforward project with an outside guy doing the actual typing. And because it was nice and easy and hurry up and get it done for not very much money, it didn't have a set of specs. It was word of mouth, and what went in, and it wasn't what was supposed to be in. And Dave and I talked about it, and we said, if it has, and Dave did the apron crossing on 2 driveways, and that was all done. And we said, if it has to be dug up again, it has to be dug up again. If we do it now, it's not going to save anything compared to waiting and see if maybe it doesn't need to be done. So the thought was just let it be and see if it works. That the other thing that's left, and I thought maybe we should try to intervene. If you look at number 10, the line going from number 10 is below the surface of the ground coming out of the house. The line from Diane at number 12
Percy.
comes out, looks to me like it comes out above the foundation and drops down exposed to the outside. It's exposed for about a foot before it goes into the ground. And it seems like we're asking, or the owner is asking for trouble to have it like that they should be finish the job upright. The town did the connection, but she ought to just have someone drill a hole in the foundation and put that pipe underground into the pipe that's outside. Bill and Lee, what are your thoughts? To have Colleen get in touch with her and say, please do that. And it's gonna, on a night like this, if that pipe, it won't happen tonight because we don't have any water in the ground. But if you had a night like this that had water still in that pipe, we're gonna end up with a frozen pipe. Do you think we should ask Colleen to ask the owner to do that?
I think it's good practice.
Yeah, that would make sense to
Yeah.
avoid the problem, because it will happen.
It will. It will. And to
Yeah,
go
for
through all
sure.
of this and have it failed because of that.
Yeah, and
Turns
what,
out
So-
that the
but-
guy,
Would they put in an inch and a half pipe or an inch and a quarter pipe?
I think it's only an inch and a quarter. I thought it was going to be inch and a half. I originally hoped it was going to be 2 inches. But
Well, yeah,
I think what
2
happened
inches.
is I think we got the guy that did the job is a sprinkler, a lawn sprinkler guy. And I'm guessing
No,
he doesn't
That's
use
what he had
his
on
pipes
his
like
pipe.
that.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's probably what
probably,
they had.
it's
spoken about.
probably a coil of pipe he had laying around he wanted to get rid of. That's right.
And it
Yeah,
wasn't very
correct.
much money. I think
I think it
Chris
was,
or Dave told me it was like $800 for the
that's
whole
right.
job.
That's what I talked to Dave as well. That's what he told me.
So it's not very much money. If we've solved that problem, that is the town. Actually, it's not even the town's money. It was the state money to do it, the septic thing going. So we've got 2 houses connected to it. The next thing, we've got a letter from Mr. Gasberry, and it's interesting that he sent the letter because when I went down to see how they were doing, which was, I don't know, a day and a half ago or so, I drove down to the end of the street, and it in fact looked to me like number 12 was opened up. There were a couple of lawn chair uh, kind of lawn chairs out in the front on a little deck. And there was a car that didn't look like a construction car. It looked like the door was open. It looked to me like people were either living there or moving in. And our agreement with the owner was that they weren't moving in without, in our order, was they're not supposed to be moving in without that system being tested.
That's correct. As far as my recollection goes, that's correct.
Yeah. And Colleen, as long as you're making that call, can you in fact, if the board agrees, should we have Colleen tell her, look at, you can't be moving into this until that testing is done, and if you do, the board's going to end up having to go and start legal action to stop it. And she told us, I think she told you, Bill, or, oh no, somebody, the Alan Weiss, I think, was going to do the inspection. And he said it was canceled. Or Bill, weren't you the one that was involved with that, on people just saying that was just going to be delayed, that it wasn't canceled? That somebody was.
I think I did end up talking
There
to her,
was,
and she
there was a delay. There was, last May, they were supposed to do that inspection, never happened.
Right.
And then it just kind of fell off the table.
she told me she was just kind of putting it off for now, I'm pretty sure, so.
But she
at
said
the
it was,
time.
they were going to do it. So,
Mm,
so as long as you're calling her, Colleen, just to
Mhm.
tell her, look at if you're going to move in, if people are going to start living there, the board's going to be forced to start legal action to stop that.
okay.
And
So,
also ask her what she's planning to do, so we can, at our next meeting, we can talk about
yeah, all right. All right, so this
Yeah.
pipe, you're recommending that she puts that below the surface of the ground so it doesn't freeze?
it. Right.
Okay,
So it goes straight into the pipe that the town connected to.
but she'll have to get somebody to do that.
Dick,
Okay,
Dick, I
It
just
turns
ran
out,
a, I-
Colleen, the neighbor across the street, the guy is, I forget what his name is, but he's, I think his house is across the street between 10 and 12, I don't think the house is perfectly lined up.
Yeah.
But he told me that he's got the coring drill and everything to do it, and he said, I'd be willing to just drill, if it was an easy job, he said, I'd be willing to dig that hole right there and drill the hole for him.
All right.
Dick, I just ran a quick analysis on a 1.25 inch pipe. Again, I ran it using the orifice equation, so just essentially an open hole. With 10 feet of driving head, you can, the orifice will take 58 gallons per minute. But
Yeah.
you need 10 feet of driving head to do it.
Yeah, but you have to look, it's not really that. What you'd have to look is friction loss of.
Oh, I know, but I'm just for a first gander, I'm looking at it this way. So that's the upper end of the flow rate, 58. You're right, but 300 feet of friction loss, it's going to be less than that, but you're going to require quite a bit of head if those two pumps are working together.
Yeah, but the
Anyway.
likelihood that if they do run together, then it won't pump very fast. Well, I didn't go through it, but I'm guessing the pipe can. So your garden hose can do 5 gallons a minute.
Right.
On 100 feet of pipe can do 5 gallon without a hard job.
Right.
And this one's double that in size.
This one's 58.
Yeah, so you could probably do at least 10 gallons a minute.
At least, yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I could run the Darcy Y back, but I'm not going to do it. But again, I think it'll be fine. It'll be all right.
Yeah, but you can start looking at 10 gallons a minute is 600 gallons an hour. You're starting to pump a fair amount of water through there, and we'll see as we talk to David said that if it's not enough, they're going to have to do it over again and put the second pipe in.
That's exactly right.
Did David disclose how deep the pipe was?
Shallow. He said it's really shallow. It's in the 1 foot depth range.
Yeah, it's subject to freezing, but again, if water's running continuously over the winter months, it may not freeze.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. Yeah.
So just hope that the pump does not shut off and then it's 10 below zero for a couple of nights. You hope that's not the situation.
If it does, then you're going to get stuck. And as David said, you went with polyethylene pipe, so it's not going to crack.
Right.
It can deal with it. And he says the worst we'll do is for some of the time we'll have some water on the surface, but the rest of the time it's not. And he said most of the time with the flooding wasn't during a time when it was frozen.
Right. It's better than it will be or would be. Right. It's an improvement.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's where we are.
Okay. That's
so
good.
Our next meeting, I think I just sent something out. I think it's
17th of December, Dick?
17th, I think it said. Yeah.
We'll have a good field trip.
Yeah. Hopefully I stay away from any hurricanes that are. There's one down there right now, but luckily at this time of the year, it's funny is you look at where they start. At the beginning of the season, they start on the coast of Africa, and at the end of the season, they actually start and they gradually begin going further and further west, so that at the end of the season, it's right where this one starts, right in the Yucatan, and then it just shoots up through the Gulf. It stays hopefully to the west of where I'm going.
Yeah.
So
far west.
Yeah. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Okay. All the best,
All right,
everyone.
folks.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Okay, night. Yep. Bye-bye.
Thank you.